today with Scott Stratton, the Executive Director of Academic Advancement for SVA Illinois. He's going to join us and run through some of his expertise and background. So Scott, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, George.
Appreciate it. If you could just start us out, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Okay. Currently, as the Executive Director of Academic Advancement for SVA Illinois, our role and the mission really is to rally, empower, and equip student veterans. How we arrived at that, myself, I'm an Army veteran, 8 years. I was on tanks. I did some real high-speed stuff, and when I got out, I went to college. Went to school at DeVry University, and I worked through my program, and I realized at that point that there were not a lot of support services, and there were even less ways for me to connect with other veterans. So after graduating from school, I worked in IT for a number of years, and I came back into the admissions role at DeVry. And it became a new mission of mine to help identify ways to connect veterans with other veterans, not just on day one as a single point of contact, but also as they begin to work through their program, making sure that the retention initiatives and the peer support, the camaraderie that I wish had existed in my college career and certainly existed in my military career, there was no reason why we couldn't recreate that culture at the campus. What we found is that when you're able to create that dynamic by having veterans initiatives, having visibility events, the veterans themselves will find ways to support one another. They graduate at a higher rate. They find better jobs because they're better equipped and trained. And then through that success, we're now able to work with employer partners and other partner colleges and kind of bring all that together. So the genesis of that really is SVA Illinois and our 4 lines of effort.
Okay. So you worked at DeVry University for some time, and maybe you could just, because I've had some personal interaction with it and I thought it was a great deal, run us through a little bit about the Military Resource Council, the DMRC.
Oh, okay, sure.
That you ran out there and oversaw.
I'd be happy to. So in 2008, we formalized this veteran support initiative. We'd figured out that the veterans were hanging out a lot more often, which is a good thing, and they were focusing on academics and social events. So we became something called the DMRC, the DeVry Military Resource Club. Over the years, what that's turned into is it's certainly a social event and social community, but we also go out into the community. So we create a network of support that's much larger than simply problems that we can solve. So what that might look like on the first day of school for a student veteran, as they arrive at campus, they might meet with an advisor, and I'll connect them with immediately a peer mentor, someone who's in the DMRC. Maybe they're 2 or 3 or 4 semesters along, perhaps in the same program, or maybe they share the same branch of service. They walk them around the campus. They give them that warm fuzzy that you want to feel the first day you land out of your unit. Right. You want to make sure that you know where the things are. Where's the chow hall? Well, where's the cafeteria and study hall? So let's solve that. What we see in that first semester for freshmen is that the engagement level isn't as high as you might like it to be, but that's okay because the club's consistency, the DMRC is consistent. We meet during the same time. We have a social media presence. We always have events that are highlighted around the campus and in the community, so that once that veteran who's now solving a very difficult time in his or her life, the decision to go to college and be a strong academic student, now when they're ready to engage with their other fellow veterans, they've already met 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 veterans who might be doing the same thing, and the DMRC in those monthly meetings, they're waiting for them. So as a result, we built a strong culture. We see students retain and persist at a higher level. They graduate, they find work. This is the best part, George. What we've seen in the last probably 3 or 4 years is the graduated veterans that really come through the organization, the DMRC, they land in strong programs. They reach back into the school to create, now you have these pipelines of trust and of success and of accomplishment. So these veterans who've graduated years ago are now helping out in volunteer opportunities or in employment opportunities for those that are coming in the next set of footsteps. It's pretty empowering.
That's fantastic. So creating networks, which has been the theme of the several interviews I've done so far, create networks. So I know when you talk educational system, veteran educational programs, the VA always comes into that, whether it's the GI Bill or whatever else. And I know you've got some background and experience in dealing with that. So the VA has a VITAL program.
They do.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. The VA's VITAL program, I'm not entirely sure of the date. It started about 4 or 5 years ago. But what VITAL stands for is Veterans Integration to Academic Leadership. And how that looks to the campus is that a lot of the colleges may not have the ability to staff a full-time VA person, a clinician basically, or someone who can assist with claim questions or education benefit concerns or simply scheduling an appointment with the VA. So what the VA's VITAL program aims to solve is you enter into a memorandum of understanding with the VA that you will provide a quiet space, access, office hours essentially at the campus. In turn, the college and the DMRC, what we'll do is we'll post those office hours and we'll make it known that the VA and the clinician is going to be on site. A veteran coming in, maybe it's their first semester or their 5th semester, or truly, even if it's a community-based veteran who doesn't have an affiliation to the school, they can come to the campus, they can talk to that clinician, and they can set up an appointment for getting enrolled in the health care benefits. Or if they've got a question about their VA pension or disability claims, they can get assistance there.
So is that also GI Bill and all those
they can assist with some of those questions, but the point of her benefit assistance is that she's able to refer out to a direct person, not necessarily sending you back to
playing the email or phone game.
Correct.
Get referred to somebody.
It cuts right through the red tape.
Okay.
It's awesome. And for the VA, what it does is it puts a face, a human face, on these benefit questions. And for the soldier, for the veteran, for the Marine, the sailor, what it does is it demystifies who the VA really is.
Right.
It makes that transaction a little bit simpler. What we found, and we've had a VA VITAL partnership now for the last 2 years, is that if the veteran now trusts the information that's been given to them, just through very benign sources, I need to set up an appointment, or I'd like to enroll, thanks for that. Many of the counseling services that veteran may not have been willing to ask for assistance with, they just want to talk to someone. Perhaps they're dealing with PTSD or TBI, and they haven't initiated a conversation with what's going on inside their head. This person is a clinician, they are a doctor, and they can set up counseling hours. So in the last 2 years, we have anywhere from 10 to 20 student veterans who I know have sought out services related to counseling that otherwise may not have had done that. And that, to us, it's probably the single most important program that we brought in to the campus.
That's great. That's great. So as I've talked to some of your colleagues in the educational arena, it seems like colleges have a pretty good grip on onboarding veterans as students, getting them into the right college degree programs, assisting them with benefits, VA, things like that while they're there, and kind of gearing them up and getting them ready to move out into the real world, so to speak. So the gap that has not been fixed, has not been covered, is that successful transition into the business world.
Okay.
Not necessarily entrepreneurship, but into corporate America. So what is it that you've seen in your experience that you would share with our audience that has been successful? Like,
sure.
What businesses in your mind are attacking the problem in an effective manner, and if they are, what are they doing?
That's a great question and a good point. So if the leading indicator of veterans returning to college is how many are in school, and what do those intake and retention measures look like? To your point, yes, colleges are figuring this out at a much greater rate than they had been 10 years ago. So what that means, you have more student veterans graduating and finding work, hopefully. And the idea is not just finding work, but it's finding gainful employment. Right. So what we found, and in particular as SVA Illinois, with our lines of effort, having conversations with employers, the thing that they say most often is, Scott, we attend career fairs, we go to Hiring Our Heroes events, we post resumes on military job boards, or post positions, and we look for resumes, but we're having a hard time finding targeted, credentialed veteran talent. I've got a couple suggestions for that, and really, it seems simple, but I think some of the corporations that have solved it, they will pick up the phone, and if you call a college, talk to your corporation's recruiters, figure out what colleges they target based on the programs that you generally recruit for. So if it's an engineering school because you've got strong engineering programs, pick up the phone and you ask to speak to their military advisor, their single point of contact. You can start with their career services office, but you really want to drill down to get to the military single point of contact. Right. Because at the end of the day, that's the person who has contact with that veteran throughout most of their collegiate career. If you can get that person on the phone and you find out when their meetings are, Ask if you can send them job descriptions straight away. Ask if you can come and be present at one of their events and activities. When you can cut through all of the red tape, so you've got a corporation hiring manager with the ability to interview and hire and source, talking directly to the single point of contact for student veterans at a campus, you've cut through 2 or 3 or 4 levels of red tape, and you've put them in the same room at the same time. So that is the most cost-effective way to do it, is just pick up the phone and make it happen. There's another method of doing that. When corporations are attending these meetings, or HR managers, or really veteran talent at the corporate level, when they're coming in and talking to these meetings, you're going to develop a rapport there. Through that rapport, and actually I'm going to bring you into this, George, as the Sears veteran hiring manager. What we had done is, a year and a half ago, you visited a meeting, and then the rapport is created, and from that rapport, we're able to then partner with corporations as they run their own veteran hiring initiatives. So now we're bringing veteran talent to you based on some of the ideas that you're looking for, job descriptions, leadership traits, things like that. So,
and of course, the cost per hire is always a concern.
Of course, yeah.
So resources, we are, our sunk cost into that type of deal. So I've found that, and I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're an expert on it.
That direct line of communication, whether it be with you or your cohorts, saves us a lot of money. And I think that a lot of businesses don't take the time to understand that the career conferences, I don't want to pick on Hiring Our Heroes, recruit military, things like that, those cost money. But what doesn't cost money is exactly what you said, picking up your office phone and talking directly to the local veteran coordinator at a college. Yeah,
and what you did for that, the idea that at the end of the day, at the end of the rainbow, we're talking about finding strong salaried positions with benefits and longevity in a corporation. Well, not everybody is going to be a fit for every position, whether it's Sears or General Electric or Exelon. But that's not the point. What Sears did, and what I think companies are now starting to follow suit with, is building a day or an event around whomever shows up, whatever that veteran, however they found themselves at that presentation, they're going to pull something out of it, whether it's a LinkedIn overview, whether it's a resume review, conversations, very frank conversations with recruiters and employers. The idea that you can build a 2 or 4 or 6 hour day so that every veteran attendee then leaves with tangible benefits, and then that corporation then gets to essentially cherry pick, and there's nothing wrong with that. You hosted the event, you get to pick the talent that works best for you, but that veteran then leaves better off than when they showed up that morning. When they go back, for the ones that are still in school, when they go back to their colleges and they say, and they can describe the experience that they had, and they can show a beefed up resume or a strong LinkedIn profile, or just the experience of going through an interview with a corporation who may or may not have an interest in them as an employee, but certainly has an interest in their success. That is empowering to the rest of the student veterans or veterans that are coming along in the pipeline. That helps all of Chicagoland, if you ask me.
Okay. Well, Scott, thank you very much.
Oh, you bet, George.
Time today.
It's my pleasure.
Enjoyed it, and thank you everyone for joining us.